The HS Pioneer drifted silently through the uncharted sector, its sensors scanning the void for signs of habitable worlds. Captain Alina Reyes stood on the bridge, her dark eyes fixed on the main view screen. The ship had been exploring this region for 3 weeks, and so far, they had found little of interest, just dead moons and gas giants unsuitable for colonization. "Captain, we're picking up multiple signals approaching from Sector 7, reported Lieutenant Kim, his fingers dancing across the control panel. His usually calm voice carried a hint of tension. Reyes straightened her uniform jacket. "How many?" "At least 12 vessels, Captain. Configuration unknown. They're moving in formation." Officer Park at the tactical station looked up from her screen. "They're on an intercept course. Estimated contact in 6 minutes." Reyes nodded calmly, though her heart rate had doubled. First contact scenarios were always dangerous. The Pioneer was an exploration vessel with minimal defensive capabilities. Its mission was scientific discovery, not combat. "All stations, yellow alert. Raise shields, but weapons remain offline. We're not here to start a fight." Within moments, a fleet of sleek vessels with organic-looking hulls surrounded the Pioneer. They were unlike anything humans had encountered before, curved and asymmetrical, with pulsing blue light emanating from what appeared to be propulsion nodes. The ships moved with incredible precision, forming a perfect containment pattern around the human vessel. "They're scanning us, Captain," said Engineer Han from his station. "Deep scans. They're looking at everything from our power systems to the molecular structure of our hull." "Let them look," Reyes replied. "We have nothing to hide. Open all non-classified technical databases." Lieutenant Kim tilted his head. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission. They're attempting to match our communication protocols. Open a channel." The main view screen flickered, and the image of the stars was replaced by a face that was clearly not human. The alien had metallic skin that seemed to shift colors slightly as it moved, with no visible hair and eyes that were solid orbs of deep purple. Behind the figure, other aliens moved about what appeared to be the bridge of their vessel. "I am Admiral Taiho of the Zentari Collective," the alien stated in surprisingly good English. The translator was working perfectly. "You have entered Zentari space, human vessel." Reyes stepped forward. "I am Captain Alina Reyes of the Earth exploration vessel HS Pioneer. We were unaware this sector belonged to any civilization. We come in peace." Admiral Taiho's expression was difficult to read, but his posture stiffened. "We have ruled this sector for 500 cycles. Your presence here must be explained. No other species enters Zentari territory without permission." "We are explorers," Reyes responded, keeping her voice steady. "We seek peaceful contact with other intelligent species. The United Earth government wishes to establish diplomatic relations with all sentient civilizations." The bridge crew watched as Tahoe conferred with another Zentari beside him. This second alien wore different markings on its metallic skin, possibly indicating a different rank or function. "Humans," Tahoe finally said, "we know nothing of your species or your capabilities. Our scans show your vessel is lightly armed. We find it curious that you would venture so far from your home system with such minimal protection." Officer Park whispered to Reyes, "Captain, they've positioned energy weapons on all vessels. They're powering up targeting systems." Reyes nodded slightly to acknowledge the warning, but kept her focus on the alien commander. "Admiral Taiho, we come with peaceful intentions. Our vessel is designed for exploration, not warfare. Many species claim peaceful intentions until they understand the power dynamics of our region," Taiho replied. "The Zentari Collective has maintained order in this sector for generations. New species must learn their place within our hierarchy." Admiral Taiho's expression hardened. "We shall demonstrate the power of the Zentari, so you understand your position in our territory." The view screen returned to a view of space, where the Zentari vessels were now taking up attack positions. "They've locked weapons on us, Captain," Park reported, her voice steady despite the danger. Reyes moved quickly to the communication station. Send emergency transmission to Earth Defense Command, Priority Alpha. Include all data we've gathered on the Zentari ships and their capabilities. Lieutenant Kim worked rapidly. Transmission away, Captain. But even at FTL speeds, any response would take hours. Captain, Engineer Han called out, we're receiving a response already. From Earth Defense Command. Reyes turned in surprise. That's impossible. They couldn't have received our message yet. The message says, the HSS Thunderchild was already en route to our location. They dispatched it when we first entered this sector as a precaution. Relief washed over Reyes' face. The Thunderchild was humanity's newest and most powerful battleship, equipped with technology that had never been tested in actual combat. Estimated arrival time? She asked. 17 minutes, Captain, Han replied. Reyes returned to the center of the bridge. Open channel to Admiral Tayo. The alien commander appeared again, looking smug. Admiral, Reyes said calmly, I advise you to reconsider your aggressive stance. Reinforcements from Earth are already on their way. Tayo laughed, a strange metallic sound. A bluff, Captain. Our scans detect no other human vessels within light years. The HSS Thunderchild will arrive shortly, Reyes continued. It would be unfortunate if our first contact ended in conflict. We shall see about your phantom ship, Tayo replied. In the meantime, prepare to be boarded. The Zentari wish to examine human technology more closely. As the alien ships moved into attack formation, Reyes quietly ordered her crew to battle stations. The Pioneer might not survive a direct assault, but they would hold out as long as possible. All they needed to do was survive for 17 more minutes. The bridge of the HSS Pioneer had descended into controlled chaos. Captain Reyes and her crew had managed to evade direct hits from the Zentari vessels for nearly 2 hours, using asteroid fields and emergency maneuvers to buy time. The shields were down to 18%, and hull breaches had been reported on 2 decks. They're toying with us, Officer Park said grimly, wiping blood from a cut on her forehead. They could have destroyed us already. Lieutenant Kim nodded. The Zentari seemed to enjoy the chase. They're herding us like prey. Captain Reyes gripped the command chair as another blast rocked the ship. Any word from Earth Defense? Nothing since their last message, Kim replied. The Thunderchild should have been here by now. Engineer Han worked frantically at his station, rerouting power to keep the failing shields operational. Captain, we can't take much more of this. Main power is fluctuating. A massive Zentari cruiser loomed directly ahead of them, its weapons ports glowing with charged energy. Admiral Taho's face appeared on the view screen, his metallic skin gleaming with what looked like satisfaction. Your resistance is admirable, Captain Reyes, but futile. Surrender your vessel or be destroyed. Reyes stood tall despite the hopeless situation. We will not surrender, Admiral. Humans do not bow to threats. Taho's expression shifted to something like respect. Then you will die with honor. Prepare to. The alien commander stopped mid-sentence, his attention drawn to something off-screen. The Zentari bridge erupted with activity. Suddenly, space itself seemed to tear open about 5 kilometers from the Pioneer. A massive rupture in the fabric of space-time formed, glowing with blue-white energy. The Zentari ships immediately broke off their attack, regrouping to face this new development. What is that? Whispered Officer Park. From within the spatial tear, a massive vessel emerged. The HSS Thunderchild materialized fully, a behemoth of human engineering that dwarfed not only the Pioneer, but also the largest Zentari ships. Its hull gleamed with dark armor plating that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Along its length, recessed weapon ports remained closed, but their presence was unmistakable. The bridge crew of the Pioneer erupted in cheers and sighs of relief. That's a human ship, Engineer Han said in awe. I've never seen anything like it. Captain Reyes smiled. The Thunderchild was classified. Most of Earth doesn't even know it exists yet. The massive battleship moved into position between the Pioneer and the Zentari fleet, its presence alone causing the alien vessels to pull back and regroup. "We're being hailed," Lieutenant Kim announced. "It's the Thunderchild." The view screen changed to show a calm, focused man in a crisp black uniform with commander's insignia. His expression was serious, but not hostile. "Pioneer, this is Commander June of the Thunderchild. We received your distress call. Your ship appears damaged. What is your status?" "Shields at critical levels, hull breaches on decks 3 and 4, but no casualties," Rice reported. "Commander, we're very glad to see you." June nodded. "We'll handle things from here, Captain. Please move your vessel behind ours and begin repairs." As the Pioneer limped into position behind the Earth battleship, the Zentari fleet remained at a distance, clearly reassessing the situation. The Thunderchild was nearly 3 times the size of their largest vessel, with a design unlike anything in their experience. "The Zentari are hailing us," reported Lieutenant Kim. June's image was joined by Admiral Tahoe's on a split screen. The alien commander's earlier confidence seemed somewhat diminished. "This is Commander June of the Earth Defense Force," June stated firmly. "We request peaceful resolution to this standoff." Tahoe studied the human commander for a moment before responding. "Another human vessel. Larger, yes, but still primitive compared to Zentari technology. We have conquered 12 species with our superior firepower." Commander June remained unruffled by the aliens' boasting. "Admiral, we have no wish for conflict. I propose we both power down weapons and discuss this situation like civilized beings." The Zentari admiral's skin rippled with colors that might have indicated amusement or disbelief. "Perhaps a demonstration is in order first, so you understand who you are addressing." Tahoe turned to give orders to his crew. "Fire warning shots across the human vessel's bow. Level 2 energy cannons only." The lead Zentari ships moved into formation and unleashed a barrage of energy weapons. Brilliant beams of green light sliced through space toward the Thunderchild, flashing dramatically against the darkness. On the Thunderchild's bridge, Commander June remained seated calmly in his command chair. "Defensive shields only," he ordered. "No return fire." The Zentari weapons struck the Thunderchild's shields and simply vanished. There was no explosion, no energy discharge, no visible effect whatsoever. It was as if the attacks had been swallowed by an invisible force. On the Zentari flagship, the bridge fell silent. Officers stared at their sensor readings in confusion. "Impossible," whispered Tahoe's second-in-command, Officer Dai. "Our sensors show the energy was completely absorbed. No shield technology should be capable of that." Admiral Tahoe leaned forward, his earlier arrogance replaced by cautious interest. "Full power to forward batteries. Target the propulsion systems." The Zentari fleet unleashed a much more powerful barrage, enough firepower to cripple any vessel they had previously encountered. Once again, the weapons struck the Thunderchild's shields and disappeared without effect. On the Pioneer, Captain Rice and her crew watched in amazement. "Those are quantum absorption shields," Engineer Hand said in disbelief. "They were theoretical when we left Earth. They don't just block attacks, they convert the energy and add it to the ship's power reserves." Commander June's voice came through clearly as he addressed the Zentari once more. "Admiral Tahoe, I believe we've established that continuing this conflict would be pointless. Shall we discuss terms for peaceful interaction, or do you require further demonstration of our capabilities?" The Zentari admiral's metallic face was unreadable, but the tension in his posture was clear. He had miscalculated badly, and now needed to find a way to save face without endangering his fleet. Admiral Tahoe stared at the human battleship through the main viewport of his command vessel. The massive ship hung in space like a dark mountain, seemingly untouched by the Zentari's most powerful weapons. The admiral's metallic skin rippled with colors that his officers recognized as anger and frustration. His entire career had been built on the technological superiority of the Zentari collective. In 5 decades of service, he had never encountered a species that could withstand their firepower. "This is unacceptable," he hissed, his voice carrying across the silent bridge. "The humans mock us with their inaction." Officer Day approached cautiously. "Admiral, perhaps we should consider the human commander's offer to negotiate. Their defensive capabilities exceed our—" "Silence." Tahoe cut him off. "No primitive species will humiliate the Centauri Collective. The humans have revealed only defensive systems. They likely have minimal offensive capabilities." The Admiral turned to his weapons officer. "Summon the rest of the fleet. All vessels, all weapons. We will show these humans the true might of the Centauri." Within minutes, 12 more Centauri warships emerged from hyperspace, joining the existing fleet. Now they outnumbered the humans 20-1. The new arrivals took up attack positions, surrounding both human vessels in a three-dimensional web of firepower. On the Pioneer, Captain Rice watched with growing concern. "They're bringing in reinforcements. The Thunderchild is powerful, but against so many." Lieutenant Kim shook his head. Commander Jun doesn't seem worried. Indeed, on the communications channel, Commander Jun remained as calm as ever. His final message to Admiral Tahoe was simple. "Admiral, I urge you to reconsider. We wish for peaceful relations." But Tahoe had made his decision. His pride would not allow him to back down in front of his officers, his fleet, and the other alien species who were surely monitoring this encounter. "All ships, attack pattern Zeta 9, he ordered. "Target both human vessels. Maximum firepower." The Centauri fleet moved with practiced precision, their ships taking up optimal firing positions. At Tahoe's command, every vessel unleashed its full arsenal simultaneously. The void of space lit up with green and blue energy beams, torpedoes, and plasma bursts. Enough firepower to reduce a small moon to rubble. On the Thunderchild's bridge, Commander Jun watched the incoming barrage calmly. His officers remained at their stations, tense but disciplined. No one spoke until the attacks hit their shields. Once again, the quantum absorption shields did their work. The massive energy assault was captured and converted, causing the shield barrier to glow briefly before returning to its invisible state. "Shields holding at 99.8%, reported the defense officer. "Power reserves increased by 12%. Commander Jun nodded and stood from his command chair. "They've made their choice. Weapons Officer Min, prepare a precision strike." "Target, sir?" asked Min. "The flagship's main weapons array only. Minimal power. We want to disable, not destroy." Min worked his console, his fingers dancing across the targeting systems. "Target locked, Commander." Jun took a deep breath. "Fire." A single point on the Thunderchild's hull opened, revealing a weapon port that had remained closed until now. A pencil-thin beam of brilliant white energy lanced out, covering the distance to the Centauri flagship in an instant. The beam struck with surgical precision, hitting only the weapons control node on the alien vessel. The effect was immediate. The flagship's weapons went dark, their glowing ports shutting down one by one. On nearby screens, the humans could see internal systems throughout the Centauri ship flickering and failing. "Direct hit," reported Min. "Their weapons systems are offline. No other damage to the vessel." Jun reopened the communication channel. Admiral Tahoe's bridge was now lit by emergency lighting, with officers rushing about in controlled panic. "We have disabled your weapons, Admiral," stated Jun, his voice level and without triumph. "We have no desire for conflict, but we will defend ourselves if necessary." The Centauri Admiral stared at the human commander in disbelief. His flagship, the pride of the Centauri fleet, had been neutralized by a single shot. Not destroyed, precisely disabled. What weapon is this?" he managed to ask. "A focused graviton beam," Jun explained. "It temporarily disrupts the atomic bonds in specific materials. Your weapons will be operational again in approximately 6 hours, but I hope by then we will have reached an understanding." Throughout the Centauri fleet, captains and crews watched in stunned silence. They had never witnessed such a display of both power and restraint. Their sensors showed that the human weapon had targeted only the flagship's weapons systems, deliberately avoiding life support, engines, or any areas with crew members. On nearby planets and outposts, other alien species watched the confrontation through their observation networks. The Krell Empire, longtime rivals of the Centauri, recorded everything with particular interest. The Neurothi Science Collective calculated the energy requirements for such a weapon and found the results almost impossible to believe. The nomadic Voss traders immediately began updating their risk assessments for dealing with this new human species. In the command center of the Centauri flagship, Officer Dai stared at the damage reports with growing realization. The human attack had been so precise, so controlled, that it could only be the result of vastly superior technology. "Admiral," he said quietly, so only Tahoe could hear, "look at these readings. Their targeting systems isolated our weapons array with quantum-level precision. They could have targeted our power core, our bridge, our engines." The implication hung in the air between them. Dai finally gave it voice. "They could have destroyed us. They've been holding back." Admiral Tahoe's metallic skin paled to a dull silver as the truth sank in. The humans hadn't been defenseless. They had been showing restraint. Even now, with the full Centauri fleet attacking them, they had chosen to disable rather than destroy. "Order all ships to stand down," Tahoe commanded, his voice subdued. "Power down all weapons. Open a secure channel to Commander Jun." As the Centauri fleet powered down their weapons, a new respect spread through their ranks. In a culture that valued strength above all, the humans had demonstrated not only overwhelming technological superiority, but also something the Centauri rarely encountered: mercy. The silence hung heavy in space as the Centauri fleet remained in position, weapons powered down. The standoff had turned into an uneasy truce. Admiral Tahoe sat alone in his private chamber aboard the flagship, reviewing the battle recordings. Each viewing only confirmed what he already knew. The humans possessed technology far beyond what the Centauri had encountered in centuries of galactic dominance. After an hour of contemplation, Tahoe made his decision. He returned to the bridge and opened a channel to the Thunderchild. "Commander Jun," he said, his metallic features set in a formal expression, "we request a diplomatic meeting. The Centauri Collective wishes to establish proper relations with humanity." On the Thunderchild, Commander Jun nodded. "We accept. We suggest a neutral location for our meeting. Perhaps aboard the Pioneer. It's smaller, but neither your flagship nor my vessel would give the right impression for peace talks." Tahoe agreed, though the suggestion surprised him. In Centauri culture, negotiations always took place from a position of strength, usually aboard the most powerful vessel present. 6 hours later, a shuttle from the Centauri flagship docked with the Pioneer. Admiral Tahoe led a small delegation, including Officer Dai and 3 others. Among them was a slender Centauri with green markings on his metallic skin, Minho, the chief scientist of the collective. Captain Reyes greeted them at the airlock. "Welcome aboard the Pioneer, Admiral. Please follow me to our conference room." The Centauri delegation followed her through the corridors of the human ship. They noted the simplicity of the design compared to their own vessels. Practical, efficient, without the ornate decorations that adorn Centauri ships. The conference room was modest but comfortable. Commander Jun waited there with 3 other human officers. The 2 groups sized each other up cautiously before taking their seats. "Before we begin formal diplomatic discussions," Admiral Tahoe said, "my scientists have questions about your technology. With your permission, of course." Jun glanced at Captain Reyes, who nodded slightly. "We're open to a cultural and technological exchange," Jun replied, "within reasonable limits of security." Minho leaned forward eagerly. "How did your species develop such advanced defensive capabilities? The quantum absorption shield technology you displayed is beyond anything we've achieved." Commander Jun's expression grew thoughtful. "To understand our technology, you must understand our history." He activated a holographic display in the center of the table, It showed the blue-green sphere of Earth. Humanity evolved on a planet with extreme environmental variations. Unlike many species, we didn't have a stable, controlled environment. Earth has experienced ice ages, supervolcanic eruptions, meteor impacts, and rapid climate shifts. The hologram changed to show various natural disasters throughout Earth's history. Our quantum shield technology was developed after what we call the lunar catastrophe, Jun continued. The hologram showed Earth's moon with a massive impact crater, glowing red-hot. 50 years ago, a rogue asteroid struck our moon with enough force to alter its orbit slightly. The resulting tidal effects were devastating to coastal regions on Earth. The Zentari scientists watched in fascination as the images showed massive waves destroying cities. We realized traditional defensive measures would never be enough for long-term survival. The quantum absorption shields were designed not just to block energy, but to capture and repurpose it. Minho's metallic features shifted in what might have been amazement. And your weapons? That precision strike capability. Our gravity manipulation weapons came from our desperate need to divert comets from Earth's path, Jun explained. After the lunar catastrophe, we detected a cluster of comets heading toward our inner solar system. Rather than trying to destroy them, which would have created thousands of smaller but still dangerous objects, we developed technology to alter their trajectory with precise gravitational pulses. The hologram showed a massive comet being gently pushed into a new orbit by invisible forces. We later adapted this technology for defensive purposes, Jun added. It allows us to apply force with extreme precision, minimizing collateral damage. Admiral Tejo studied the human commander with new understanding. And your propulsion systems. Our sensors detected unusual energy signatures when your vessel arrived. Matter/antimatter propulsion, Jun said simply. Again, born of necessity. Earth was running out of natural resources. We needed to explore beyond our solar system, which required faster-than-light travel. For the next hour, the humans explained more of their technological achievements, their AI systems that worked in partnership with human operators rather than replacing them, their adaptive hull materials that could self-repair, their communications network that used quantum entanglement for instantaneous contact across vast distances. The Zentari delegation listened in growing awe. Their own technology had developed steadily, but slowly over thousands of years of relative peace and stability. Your species turned survival into an art form, observed Admiral Tejo finally. We evolved in a stable system with few threats. Perhaps that is why we never developed such innovations. Jun nodded. Necessity is the mother of invention, as we say. Humanity's greatest advances often came during our darkest times. There is something else I don't understand, said Officer Da, speaking for the first time. Why show restraint? With your technology, you could have destroyed our fleet. Yet you disabled only our weapons, and even that damage was temporary. A small smile touched Commander Jun's lips. Another lesson from our history. On Earth, we learned the hard way that destruction is easy. Building trust is hard. We could have destroyed your ships, yes. But what would that accomplish? Another enemy. More conflict. We've had enough of that. Captain Rice added. Humans have fought many wars among ourselves. We've learned that true strength isn't in how much damage you can inflict, but in how much you can prevent. The Zentari officers exchanged glances. This concept seemed foreign to their conquest-oriented culture. Perhaps, Admiral Tejo said slowly, there is much our species can learn from each other. Commander Jun extended his hand across the table, a human gesture of agreement. After a moment's hesitation, Admiral Tejo reached out his metallic hand and completed the gesture. To new beginnings, said Jun. To new beginnings, echoed Tejo. Outside the viewport, the human and Zentari vessels hung in space, no longer in battle formation, but side by side. The first step toward understanding had been taken. 1 month had passed since the first encounter between humans and the Zentari. The massive observation deck of the Thunderchild was filled with representatives from both species. The curved, transparent ceiling revealed the stars above, while below, a formal ceremony was about to begin. Captain Reyes stood near the front of the gathering, her dress uniform freshly pressed for the occasion. The marks of battle had been erased from the Pioneer, which now floated alongside the Thunderchild. The vessel had been fully repaired, a symbol of resilience much like humanity itself. Admiral Tejo entered the room with his delegation. The Zentari officials wore ceremonial armor that gleamed under the soft lighting. Their metallic skin reflected colors in ways that still fascinated the humans present. The atmosphere was solemn but hopeful. Commander June approached the central platform where a simple table held the treaty documents. The documents existed in both digital form and as physical papers, a human tradition that the Zentari had respected. "This is a historic day," June began. "1 month ago, our species met in conflict. Today, we meet as friends." Admiral Tejo stepped forward to join him. The Admiral looked different now, his posture less rigid, his expression more open. 4 weeks of cultural exchange had changed both sides. "The Zentari Collective acknowledges the United Earth Government as equals," read Admiral Tejo from the treaty. "We offer our sincere apologies for our initial aggression and propose an alliance of mutual benefit." The words echoed through the observation deck. For the Zentari, who had dominated their sector for centuries, to acknowledge any species as equals was unprecedented. After the formal signing, the gathering broke into smaller groups. Captain Rice found herself speaking with Officer Day, who had been promoted after the first contact incident. "Your ship has become something of a legend among our people," Dad told her, gesturing toward the Thunderchild. "Stories of its power have spread throughout the sector." Ray smiled. "And yet it's not the weapons that matter most." "No," agreed Da. "It's what you chose not to do with them. That was the real revelation for us." Across the room, Engineer Hyun of the Zentari fleet was deep in conversation with the Thunderchild's chief engineer. Hyun had spent the past month studying human vessel design, marveling at the elegant solutions humans had developed to universal problems. "Your ship's power distribution network is beautiful," Hyun was saying, his hands moving animatedly. "We always used separate systems for weapons and life support. Your integrated approach is much more efficient." News of the treaty signing spread quickly across the sector. The quantum communications network relayed images to a dozen worlds. On the Krell homeworld, military leaders watched with concern as their longtime rivals gained powerful allies. In the Nerethi Science Collective, researchers requested immediate cultural exchange with humans. The nomadic Voss traders changed course, heading directly for Earth space with holds full of exotic goods. Several days after the signing, Admiral Tejo addressed the High Council of the Zentari Collective. The 13 senior leaders listened as he described the treaty and its implications. "The humans teach us that true power lies not in destruction, but in the ability to preserve," Admiral Tejo told his council, his voice carrying clearly through the ancient chamber. "Their ship could have annihilated our fleet, yet they chose precision and restraint." One elder council member leaned forward. "And you believe their restraint was not weakness?" "I witnessed their technology firsthand," Tejo replied. "They disabled our flagship with a single shot that targeted only weapon systems. No collateral damage, no casualties. That level of control requires both advanced technology and advanced thinking." Another counselor spoke up. "Other species are already approaching the humans for alliances. The balance of power in our sector is changing." "Yes," agreed Tejo, "and we must change with it. The humans have offered to share certain technologies. Their agricultural methods could triple food production on our outer colonies." The discussion continued long into the night, but the decision was clear. The Zentari Collective would embrace this new alliance. 2 weeks later, the Thunderchild prepared to return to Earth. Its mission to escort the Pioneer and establish first contact had expanded into something much larger. No fewer than 7 alien delegations had requested passage to Earth for diplomatic talks. On the bridge of the massive ship, Commander June stood with Captain Reyes, watching as the final preparations were made. Through the view screen, they could see the Zentari Honor Guard, 5 sleek vessels arranged in perfect formation, ready to escort the human ships to the edge of their territory. First contact could have gone very differently, said Reyes, her voice soft with wonder. June nodded. Instead of war, we begin an era of cooperation. Perhaps that is humanity's greatest strength, not our battleships, but our capacity for turning enemies into allies. The communications officer interrupted their conversation. Commander, we're receiving transmissions from 3 more civilizations requesting diplomatic relations with Earth. June smiled. It seems our demonstration had far-reaching effects. The universe watches and learns, Reyes replied. One action, one choice for peace instead of war, and look at the ripples it created. The Thunderchild's engines hummed to life, the powerful matter/antimatter reactor powering up for the journey home. Beyond the viewport, Zentari vessels moved into escort formation, a guard of honor for the species that had changed the balance of power in the galaxy with a single demonstration of advanced technology and remarkable restraint. As the ships accelerated toward the jump point, news of the Human-Zentari alliance continued to spread across the stars. On 100 worlds, beings looked toward Earth space with new interest and respect. The coming together of 2 powerful civilizations had created something greater than either alone, the promise of a future built on cooperation rather than conquest. The Thunderchild led the way, its massive form cutting through space, no longer just a weapon of war, but a symbol of humanity's true power, the wisdom to know when not to use force, and the courage to offer friendship even after conflict. The end.